Eve and Mohamed have 4 very big problems. I call them the 4 C's. Control.
He was being controlling.
Culture.
I'm trying to cut Mohamed some slack because I know that the culture here is new to him.
Communication.
No, I did not say that. That's Mohamed.
And finally, change.
You told me at the first when I met you that you wanna change and you wanna...
What? Change for what? No, I don't.
Those 4 things appear to be at the root of everything going wrong in their relationship, as we saw in this episode. So we joined Mohamed and Eve as they were preparing to go out to meet Eve's friends. But immediately, before even leaving the house, Mohamed had a problem.
Oh, are you sure you're going with this coat?
What's the matter?
They can see your underwear. I can see everything.
Now, I'm not sure if Eve knew just how see-through her dress was, but when Mohamed asked her to change her jacket, she might not have been too happy, but she did comply with his wishes.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, thank you.
What I thought was really interesting here, and this becomes quite a big issue later on this episode, was the fact that Eve didn't actually communicate that she was unhappy at this. She just kind of let it slide.
I didn't make too much of a fuss, so he wouldn't be upset and still be excited about going to have dinner with my squad.
Now, that compliance, I believe, is really significant because these compromises that Eve is beginning to make, whilst she's secretly unhappy about it, is signalling to Mohamed that she's willing to abide by his rules. And it's not just the changing of her jacket, she's also cut out pork from her diet, reduced her alcohol consumption, and also changed what she wears.
I chose to stop eating pork. I told him I would only drink on special occasions. And I cleaned out my closet for things that I know he wouldn't approve of.
So you can kind of begin to see how Mohamed in his mind thinks or expects that Eve is willing to change and obey his rules. She hasn't communicated otherwise yet, at least not to him, but it does appear as though she's expressed her concerns to her friends.
I'm a little nervous tonight because I know my friends have some concerns about Mohamed changing who I am. And honestly, I'm a little worried as well because of his recent rules and behavior towards me.
And that sets the scene nicely for what's about to happen. From the minute we see that Eve's friends have chosen to meet at a winery, you get the impression they're definitely about to test Mohamed.
This is Mohamed! Hello!
Can we hug? Can we just hug?
We're excited to meet Mohamed for the first time to figure out if his intentions are real.
And it really doesn't take long for Mohamed to realise that he's being tested here.
My first impression about Eve's friends, that they are weird. I felt that they are trying to see how I will react because I'm Muslim.
Why is it that he feels this way? Well, he seems to disapprove of what Eve's friends are wearing.
They, in purpose, to show more of their boobs, and I don't need to see that.
Now, after Eve chooses not to drink wine,
Actually, I'll bypass the wine tonight.
this seems to be a signal for her friends to begin their interrogation of Mohamed. Keep in mind, they've only known him for about 5 seconds at this point. It's very clear that they're on a mission.
So we have some questions for you. Is it okay if we...
Take it easy. Putting you in the hot seat, Mohamed.
Yes.
So, question 1. Aside from Eve, have you had any other serious relationships? To which Mohamed confirms that he did, and it must have been very serious because Mohamed admits that he even asked this girl's parents for permission to marry her. Unfortunately, things didn't work out.
And what happened?
She broke up with me because I don't have money.
Question number 2. How do you feel about Eve being nearly double your age? And listen to what he says. His answer is very interesting.
Eve's like double your age.
She's still pretty.
She's so pretty. So it didn't matter.
No.
That response might be a clue that it's a very superficial relationship. In other words, looks over compatibility. And that then leads on to the questions that really make Mohamed uncomfortable.
Have you ever been intimate with any other women? Like had sex with any other women? How did you know what to do then if you've never... No, really, like, have you ever watched porn?
Now, I'm actually going to stick up for Mohamed here, because religious or not, those are very private questions to be asking someone. Someone who you've just met and know comes from a religious Muslim country. I mean, they were definitely trying to provoke him and get a reaction there, don't you think? Judging by Mohamed's face, he definitely wasn't comfortable or happy with this.
In Egypt, no one never will ask this kind of question. She's sitting, talking about sex, talking about, are you watching porno or not? I don't want to be here.
Now, when Mohamed then gets asked about clothing and whether or not he'd feel comfortable if Eve were to have dressed as her friend's dress, or even how he'd feel about Eve in a bikini, his answer raises a few eyebrows.
I don't care about anyone but my wife, just because she's mine.
That seems a little controlling, Mohamed. This is a person we're talking about, not a possession. And it's at this point that Eve, who perhaps gains some courage by the fact that she's surrounded by her friends, plucks up the courage to finally tell Mohamed how she felt about what happened earlier.
Just even coming here, like he was nervous about me not wearing this dress and like my butt was showing. I called Mohamed out because he was being controlling, like right before we went out to dinner. So I felt like I had to stand up for myself.
Which does raise the question, why didn't she stand up for herself at the time? Why is this only now being communicated to him? Where is the communication earlier? And when Mohamed tells Eve's friends, well, Eve knows what I like and what I don't like, we see yet another example that the communication between these two simply isn't there. Mohamed thinks one thing, Eve thinks another, yet neither appear to have communicated their thoughts.
I was clear about what I like and what I don't like, you know?
Was that clear, Eve?
I mean, it's not that clear cut. It really, I'm sorry, it's not.
Mohamed is under the impression that because Eve visited him in Egypt, she understands his culture, she understands his way of thinking. And I guess he took encouragement from the fact that Eve made changes to her life, like for example quitting eating pork because of him. But Eve's point of view is significantly different. She's not living in Egypt. She's not ready to live by Egyptian societal norms or Muslim rules.
You didn't come to Egypt and saw how...
We're not in Egypt.
The thing is, Eve, Mohamed is a product of his environment. Having seen how he lived in Egypt, expecting him to come to America and completely change is wishful thinking. As he himself admits, he's just not ready or willing to do that.
I don't know, like, why women over here feeling like they doesn't want to be controlled.
I know you're seeing it.
That's talking about that, not going to change my mind.
Yeah, I mean, compared to many of the Muslim guys we've seen on this show, like Zayad or Hamza, both of whom seemed a lot more liberal, this guy, Mohamed, is the complete opposite end of the religious spectrum. He believes in controlling his woman, and that is pretty alarming that Eve wasn't aware of this before applying for his K1 visa.
I'm concerned that he's this controlling tyrant, and I would hate for her just to compromise to a union that I think should accept you fully as you are.
When back in the car on their way home, Mohamed makes it clear that he's not happy how Eve acted this evening.
And actually, I disappointed with you, Eve. When I told you my opinion about your clothes, that was a private moment.
But it turns out there's more to this than meets the eye. You see, tonight wasn't the first time that they had a disagreement about what Eve was wearing.
Back in the summer, Mohamed was furious that I went on a family trip and was at a hotel and went to the pool and did not have a one-piece bathing suit. And I just thought it was really trivial and not a big deal.
So it seems she knew what he was like but chose to ignore it. In the words of the late great Maya Angelou, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. That lesson is one that it looks like Eve is going to have to learn the hard way.
I don't have time to go run around with my son in a pandemic to go find a one-piece bathing suit. I'm sick of being judged myself too. Like, I can't even put on a dress that I think is nice without you being like giving me a hard time. Oh, you can't wear that.
And what makes matters even worse is that Mohamed is a hypocrite. It's okay for him to message ladies in bikinis, but when it's his lady, they can't wear a bikini.
You met me, the first picture you ever saw, and then you DM'd me with me in a bikini.
And I told you I'm not going
bikini.
to marry a woman wearing a bikini anymore.
I'm absolutely furious.
I tried to tell you that, obviously things are different here.
You can dress whatever you want, but don't get married. Are you going to choose a bikini over me?
When they finally arrive home, Eve takes her bedding and moves to a different room. She doesn't want to stay in the same room as Mohamed tonight, and she reveals to the camera crew,
I'm not gonna live my life feeling controlled and feeling like I'm a bad person. I am not a Muslim woman, and I don't want to be told what to do. I'm proud of the way I look, and I don't think that I should feel judged or ashamed for that.
But there's a very clear difference between that attitude and Mohamed's. You see, he seems adamant that unless Eve dresses how he expects her to, he won't stick around to marry her.
If she wanted to follow her friends in how they are dressed, I will not be a part of that. Because if she does, I will fly to Egypt before the 90 days end.
What are your thoughts on all of this drama? Is there any way that these two's relationship will work? Let's continue the conversation down in the comments below.